Wonderful. So welcome again to Hiking the Zoom Trail. We hope that you have enjoyed summer camp so far. If you were here for one of our first 2 sessions, we had a great time in Design Plus. And now we are going to use this hour to talk to you all about the new TechConnect Zoom Canvas integration. So you all might have gotten an email that said there were some changes happening with Zoom. And so this session is going to tell you all about those so you are all ready for fall. All right. So just a quick overview. We wanted to kind of just offer a quick note that for meetings, well, this is kind of just the agenda here. We'll talk about meetings created prior to August 8th, 2022. We'll tell you about what's changed from the previous Zoom integration with Canvas. And then we'll talk about the integration features like scheduling a meeting for office hours or recurring meetings, how this integrates with the calendar, how to access your recordings. And then we'll give you a preview of Student Connect and also some new exciting whiteboard features available to you in Zoom. So that's kind of on the docket for this session. So first, for those joining meetings that were created prior to August 8th, you may get this strange, excuse me, this strange pop-up when you are a participant entering the Zoom, that you're joining an external meeting that does not belong to CCC Confer Zoom. Are you sure you want to join it? It kind of scared me the first time it happened to me. I joined anyways, and it was fine. But it's only for those meetings that were created prior to August 8th that you might see this message. So we just wanted to make you aware, but you can still click join. It's totally fine. If my teammates have anything else to add on this, feel free. Otherwise, I will hand this off.
Okay, so the standalone Zoom, everything should look basically the same. What is really new is the Zoom integration in Canvas. And so you should see this TechConnect Zoom option in your navigation menu. You can disable this under settings if you just don't want to use this. It is totally optional. But here is a screenshot of how this area in Canvas looks now. And so you just click that in the navigation to launch, and then students would click that same. And as you see here, this is a place where you can schedule meetings, you can view meetings that are scheduled, and then you will be able to see recordings, which we'll look at each of those in a little bit more detail. So once you're in this area in Canvas, you just select that schedule a new meeting button up there in the right-hand side to schedule a meeting. And then what pops up looks functionally exactly the same as scheduling any other Zoom meeting you've scheduled. Here's an example of a Zoom meeting that's been scheduled, how that would look. And then students would see this scheduled as well. The nice thing about this integration is this will also show up if it's a scheduled meeting on the Canvas calendar. So students will be able to access the meeting that way as well and see it.
We do have a question in the chat. Eva is asking, is this the same as if you would log into the Zoom site?
Yes.
Yeah, she's too quick.
Yes. No, yeah, you don't have to do 2 places. I will say, and this is probably not a lot of people, but I was an adjunct before this position. And so I was using a Zoom account that was attached to a different school. And so I had to make sure I was using my GCCCD Zoom account, because that is what this is linked into. It should be automatically logged into when you're in Canvas. So if you choose to do cloud recordings for your meetings that you've made here in the Canvas integration, then they will show up here in Canvas. And you select the Cloud Recordings tab, as you can see here, to access those recordings. You'll notice that circled is a toggle for publishing or unpublishing the meeting. So that is a choice you can make for each meeting, whether you want it to be published or not. I think it defaults to unpublished, so then you would need to publish it, which is nice. So in case you forget and you didn't want it published, don't have to worry too much about that, but you will need to publish it if you want it to be something students can see. And then so here is a student view of a published meeting. And then if there were other meetings that were unpublished, students would not be able to see that.
And just to clarify, Amber, it's the public recordings, right? The recording is what you
Yes, the meeting recordings. Thank you. Yes, and this is student view of a published meeting recording. So they can access that recording right here integrated into Canvas. But they will only see recordings that you have selected to publish. So the examples so far have been if you're creating a meeting, while you're in the TechConnect Zoom area in your Canvas course, if you have meetings that you created outside, so you created them on the standalone Zoom, for instance, or maybe you created them in a different course and you want them to show up in this particular course, then you need to import them. So you see these three little dots highlighted here or pointed to in this screenshot. If you select that, you'll get this drop-down menu where you can choose to import a meeting or disassociate a meeting. The information it asks for, if you're importing, is just that meeting ID. So that string of numbers attached to the meeting. And so if you choose to go through that process to import that meeting, it will then show up in your meetings. So here, this outside meeting test in the screenshot is when I imported. So I created that in my standalone Zoom and then chose to import it into this course. It also imports the associated cloud recordings as well. So those will show up also. And then if for some reason you have a course and you realize you don't want it attached, you have a meeting that you maybe imported or you created it in the course and you don't want it attached to that course, you can disassociate it. It still exists, right? It's just not in this course. It just won't show up in the TechConnect Zoom area of this course, but it will still show up in your Zoom account. Okay, so that was really everything new about the Zoom integration. I don't see anybody else popped up with a question. There's something that is coming soon. I think it should be coming more the end of this week, and we will certainly support you all with documentation and help once that comes up. But we wanted to give you the essentials since the beginning of the semester is looming. But coming soon is Student Connect, and it's an integration that works with Zoom, and it is appointment scheduling. So it is an option, again, optional in the same way as the TechConnect Zoom. It will show up in the navigation, but you can definitely go in under settings and disable that if you don't want it to show up. You still, but if you do want to enable it and it's not already enabled, then you would do that in settings under navigation. This is a screenshot of how this would look from the instructor view, and you can offer appointments for students to sign up for, time and date, appointment booking, essentially. So this is the instructor view, what that would look like. And then the next slide is actually from student view. Kind of get a sense of how this might look, for them. The nice thing about this, that I think seems particularly helpful, is students can reserve times, but you can also reserve a time on behalf of a student. So if a student messages you and wants to meet, you can, and you want to use this Student Connect feature, you can reserve a time out. appointment time that you've already set aside.
Thank you, Amber. And now I get to talk about Zoom whiteboards. And some of you might be like, oh, we already had Zoom whiteboards. This is a little bit different. In the past, you would go to share and you could share a whiteboard. It was just a plain whiteboard and you can do that. Now they have these new whiteboards and you can actually access them outside of a meeting. So these two screenshots show you, like if I was accessing Zoom from the Confer Zoom website, then this is what the icon looks like that I would click on. And if I'm using the Zoom app on my computer, then it's pretty similar. They're in a similar spacing and it would look like this. Bree, can you do the next slide? So once you're in the meeting, so you can access those Zoom boards. They have lots of templates. You can create them ahead of time. And then when you're actually in your meeting, you will just show them to your meeting. So instead of going to the share, and I got to tell you, the team had to help me with this because I actually told them, I'm like, you guys, I cannot figure out these new whiteboards. And it was driving me crazy. And you guys all think I'm like the tech guru and I could not figure it out. So I had to work with a team to figure it out. It's like, oh, I don't need to click share screen. I need to click whiteboards. So it was not intuitive to me. So my pain can help you look like a fabulous professional. So you'll click on whiteboards and then it'll open up and it'll show you. So I could do a new whiteboard or I could do the whiteboard that I had. So actually, because we are really ahead of time, I can show this to you real quick. You guys want me to show you?
Yeah,
So I'm going to click on whiteboard. So I'm taking over, kicking Bree out.
Okay.
And then I can open and collaborate. And so this whiteboard is on here now, and you guys are all welcome to type something on it. You could, in the rows section, you could put something good that happened to you, or in the bud, something you're looking forward to, and something you're anxious about if you want. So you're along the edge here. Hopefully you guys can see me hovering over these. But on the left-hand side, you should, oh, somebody's doing it. I see it. You have text and different things you can do. Nordic walking poles. Oh, interesting. So you guys can kind of experiment and play with this for a minute if you'd like. The cool thing about this is in your settings, you can choose whether to make this available outside of the class. So we can work on it right now while we're in Zoom, but I could post a link to it in my Canvas course, or I could take a screenshot of it, or I could send an invitation to people to work on it outside of the actual Zoom meeting. So this is great. We've got some fun stuff on here. I'm going to be quiet for a minute and let's see what shows up. Somebody's nervous about the classes starting.
May I have a question?
Sure, go ahead, Suris.
When I set it, for example, to cloud recording, is it including all the sessions coming or the one I'm going to schedule a new meeting?
It's hard to know exactly where you're talking about, but there is a setting for your account, and Amber might be able to chip in because she had to fix hers, where you can tell it you always want to record to the cloud. And then it would only record there if you're actually recording. Is that answer your question, or maybe Amber might be able to clarify?
So if I have not selected the cloud recordings, that a specific scheduled meeting will not be recorded. Am I correct?
It's two different pieces. So one, if you put it in there that you're going to do a cloud recording, you can have it so it automatically records the minute you start a meeting, or you can wait till you're in the meeting to start the meeting to record. I like to wait till I'm in the meeting. And I'll tell you a funny story from Grossmont. So Bernadette Black had all these notifications of all of these recordings, and it was because she had a Zoom link set that as soon as somebody went into the Zoom room, it started recording. Well, how many of you, I know a lot of you have, because I see the notifications. You're like, you get a thing about a meeting and you're like, oh, I'm going to test this link, and you test the link and you go into the meeting, but it's not really happening. Well, it was recording everybody that did that. And so there was just like tons of recordings. So for me, I don't set it to automatically record. I wait until I'm in the meeting and then I start the recording. And when you click start recording, I can choose cloud or local computer.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you very much. That's.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay, well, we've got some great, like we have some people experimenting with drawing lines to the different things. I love it. Somebody's got a 50th high school reunion. That's not possible. None of you are old enough for that. Getting ready for fall, hot weather. I am done with the hot weather, folks. Oh, but somebody put that under good. Maybe you like the hot weather. Oh, okay. Whoever put working with Dawn, much love to you. So I am going to stop sharing. So here was the other weird thing we had to figure out was how to close it. And again, I'm looking for it. It's hidden under my camera. So to close it, instead of stop sharing, there's actually a red button at the top of my screen, and I click close whiteboard, and that brings us back to the gallery. And then if we want to, we can put our slides back up or go on with other things. But I think that might have been the last slide for this session. So what we can do is that if any of you want to work on this, we still have plenty of time. So you can go into your courses, look for the TechConnect, practice scheduling things. You can ask us questions, and you're welcome to share your screen if you get stuck.
So I actually think I'll stop share and hear from you all what would be most useful.
There's a whole bunch of templates in there too that I haven't jumped into yet, but I'm interested in experimenting a little bit.
I just imported all of mine that I already set up, the office hours for the semester for the 2 classes. Nice, like a snap, man. It was so easy. Everything came in. It's beautiful. And I had difficulty with that in the old Confer Zoom because I created it in the website, in the Zoom website. This just pulled everything in beautifully.
Yeah, Confer Zoom before was the other integration was a little hinky, but somebody in the chat is asking how I set it up. And so I think we have time. So if it's okay with the team, yeah, I'm seeing nods. I'm going to try this now. Remember, this is hard when you're in Zoom to share Zoom, but I think we discovered that if I do it through the website, we're okay. So I'm going to try sharing my screen and we'll see if this is going to show up for you guys. So let me get to, I think it's this page. So are you guys seeing my Zoom window on the web?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys are in my way again. That gallery just keeps covering my stuff. Right here is the whiteboard feature. So when I click on whiteboards, you can see, and look, you can see all the collaborators on my boards. So right here, you can see the different templates. So I could just create a new whiteboard without a template by clicking plus up here. And so let me just do that first. And so there's my new whiteboard. And it gives you little tips as you're going through here. So it's just giving you, and you'll get these tips when you go in as well. So at this point, I can pick a template or I can just do a blank one. So where's my blank? So I can tell it to skip when doing that, but I think I just close this and it's like this. So what's nice is we've been talking to our HighFlex pilot instructors about reducing the cognitive load when you're in front of the class. Like how many things do you have to remember? But if I pre-think about what I'm going to talk about for this week's class, so maybe we're going to discuss alternate activities, you know, I'm just making up something. And so I could put this on here and kind of block it out ahead of time and then save this whiteboard. And then when I'm actually in my class, I can pop it up. But then you can see that there's also these great templates in here. And so like that activity we did today was the rose, bud, and thorn one. That's a nice like engagement activity I could just pick out that template. They also have this 2 truths and a lie. So you can use this template. And so it's on there. So I can even make it bigger if I want to. And so then person 1, I could even put the names on there, or they can put their names on there, and they can put their 2 truths and a lie. And it has little directions on how they're doing it. So it's super. Once I figured out, thanks to the team, how to share it in a Zoom meeting, I was way more excited. Before that, I was like, okay, I created these whiteboards, but I can't figure out how to share them in a Zoom. So super easy. Any questions about that?
Could you show me, please, one more time, or to show everyone one more time how to get to the whiteboard, please?
Okay, so you can do this either in, let me go back, see if it. Trying to get you right back to the beginning. Okay, so I'm signed in on the website. You can do this on the website, or you can do it in the application on your computer. The only reason I can't show you the application of the computer is because we're in Zoom right now. It will not allow me to show that screen. So I'm showing you from the website. Then there's this little menu right here, whiteboard, and right now they have this nice new thing, draw your attention to it. And I just click on whiteboard.
Okay, gotcha.
So I can develop them and share, put them in here. And then when I'm in Zoom, so I'm stop sharing. And you can't see this, but now at the bottom of my screen where all the little icons are for recording and polls and all that, there's one that says whiteboards. So you
Right.
and then I can open it and collaborate. And then now that's there.
So Dawn, just to kind of solidify this, a faculty member would create a whiteboard in their app, either on the desktop app or the app on their phone, and they would set that up before class. And then when they start the meeting, that's when they actually launch that whiteboard.
Correct.
Okay.
I think when you're in here, so when I click on whiteboards, like, let's just say you weren't organized and at the last minute, you're like, oh, wait, I want to do a whiteboard and I want to do it this way. When I click on whiteboards, I have the option to pick whiteboards I've already created, or I could do a new whiteboard.
So you could pick up from where you left off at the last class. If you were using a whiteboard on Monday and now you're in your Wednesday class and you're like, oh, I want to keep going, you can pull up that whiteboard that was already started.
Exactly. Awesome.
Oh, Don, the save button is the same, but before, or is someplace else to save what you want to save in a whiteboard?
So this whiteboard is on the web and it automatically saves. So as soon as people type on it, it saves it. So it's a little bit different. You can still use the old whiteboards. Those still exist. You can still do it that way. What the advantages of these new whiteboards are, there's a lot of templates available.
Yes. Okay.
You can create them ahead of time and kind of like populate it with some of your information. Maybe you want to put a picture on it and then have people type what they think is happening in the picture, or what, like for a design class, maybe they would critique the design and the color usage or something. So the advantage is being able to prep it ahead of time and then share it into your course.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, to piggyback on the sharing piece, I could imagine a scenario, let's say it's a math course, because there's math templates with, XY graphs and things. And let's say you wanted to share the whiteboard with the students, maybe they missed class, or you just want them to have it as a resource as they do homework problems. You can link them to the whiteboard that you did by sharing that link. So I think that's pretty cool.
Eva had 2 previous questions. Is this kind of like Padlet, and will it drop in the course calendar?
So it's a little different than Padlet, but yes, it's still an engagement tool, just a different visual perspective. But it's so funny because I had saw that other one. I was just going to say it, and then Dave caught it. So that's great. I'm going to just tell you one of the benefits of having a new person on our team like Amber, who also has worked at multiple institutions. She was able to see the implementation at another institution and show us how it worked. And so we were able to make a great decision to allow TechConnect to work with your Canvas calendar. So when you schedule it in a course, if I say Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11:30, we're going to have this Zoom, and you do it in your course, I want to make sure we're talking about in your course, it will auto-populate into your calendar of your course. The other institution she was at didn't do that, so we're better. No, I'm just kidding. So that is a really great feature because it's a time saver for you. Because how many of you have like sat there and had to make little calendar things as reminders for your Zooms? Well, now it'll be right in there. So we're super excited about that. That's already working, and then we'll get additional stuff with Student Connect.
I have a question about the TechConnect Zoom meeting. So I just set up a meeting, and so I run a program meeting every Friday where I have other program staff that in the old version, just regular Zoom meeting, I would set them up as co-hosts. Under TechConnect Zoom, it gives me that option. What will happen on their end if I set them up as co-hosts?
I think it usually emails them, correct? I think because I'm rarely added as a co-host. I typically am adding other people. And it's been my experience that they often will get an email knowing that. And then they also get an email when you delete that meeting, because I've had that happen. They're like, what happened? I'm like, well, we're done with that. So I deleted it. Anybody else have experience with that?
It used to be you could set up the Zoom settings for the role that the co-host could play. So that may or may not be the case still.
You should have all the same features in Zoom as far as setting your meetings and all of that. All that's changed is the integration into Canvas. And then the other cool thing is CCC TechConnect was managing all of our accounts throughout the state. So if they decided something was going to happen, they just turned it on. They didn't necessarily tell us. And we've all had issues with that where suddenly something didn't work or is different. Well, now we have the ability here at the district to choose which settings we want on or off. For example, that calendar setting, we decided this is a good integration for us and we're going to turn it on. So that should be really the only change. And most of the options for settings actually come from Zoom, the parent company. So it should be available. I see Linda trying to.
Yeah. So if I have the app Zoom in my desktop, do I have to change anything since now it's Zoom TechConnect Zoom?
You shouldn't have to change anything. You may need to do an update, and sometimes your computer will do that automatically. But if it hasn't done it and you want to check when you're in Zoom, you can click on your pretty little face or your icon and go to settings and check for updates. But I'll give you a tip that if you open it and you see whiteboards, you're currently up to date because that just came in this week.
Okay, because I received a notification, it was this morning, authorized and to join or something like that is what I received. So I
Bree will show you that. At the very beginning, we were telling people that that's going to pop up for a little while for old meetings, and you just say accept or
join.
I just thought of one other thing that with the calendar integration, and you guys are probably going to forget this, but I'm going to say it now and we'll remind you again later. When you copy a course, so let's just say you use the calendar integration, you have meetings in your course and you've used the Zoom TechConnect. When you go to copy your course at the end of the semester, so say I'm going to move my fall course into my spring course, and I say take all the content, right? I don't do specific, I just say take all the content. It is also going to take those Zoom meetings. So you'll have to go in and delete on the calendar area, delete them. So we'll remind you of that because that is something that's a little bit different. So we'll remind you again towards the end of the semester, but I just want to put that on your radar.
So is it better to can you disable TechConnect in the new course and then it won't import the meetings, or will it import the meetings no matter what if you do all course content?
No matter what, if you do all course content. However, you can do select specific content and select everything but those items. We have to do the testing and screenshots for you. So I don't know if it's what piece you turn off, but we will
Okay.
work on that. And if we sound hesitant, because just know this happened Monday night and it's Wednesday. So we learned like in 24 hours and are sharing with you. We did go to webinars and stuff ahead of time, but actually doing it is a little different.
From your screenshots you showed earlier for Student Connect, it looked like they looked identical to the old Confer Zoom appointment booking feature. So is that what you expect it to be, is basically the same way, just the link will be Student Connect instead of Confer Zoom? And the options to be the same? Like I know before I could link it to more than one course, or I could keep it just within that one course.
That's
I'm
my
looking at
understanding.
Amber. Amber gave us the screenshots from another thing, so I think Amber can answer for you.
Yeah, I just play with it a little bit, and you do seem, it seems like we're gonna have the ability where you can set up your hours, where it's just for a course or for multiple courses. I didn't do much with the Confer Zoom, so I can't speak to how similar or different it is.
I would say that it looks very similar. Yeah.
Anna,
All right, I lost my Zoom window for a moment. I do know that you can, one of the advantages is that you can set up like a time period that you're available and make it across all courses, so that if somebody in course B took the time, it no longer shows for course A. So I think that's kind of where Donna was going with that part of that question.
Right, that's what happened in Confer Zoom. It would populate across all the courses where you enabled the Confer Zoom link in your navigation settings.
Okay, I have two screens. I keep losing my Zoom controls. Anyway, I had a note in the chat to asked me to show you how to share the link from the whiteboard. So if I wanted to post this link in my Canvas course. So I'm in my whiteboards on the website, and see this little arrow. These arrows typically mean share when you see those in different items. And so when I click on that, right now, I guess because this is probably the one we had in here, it's showing all of you, but I can get this copy link right here. And now I have the link and I can go put that into my Canvas page or send it in an email or wherever I wanted to post that link.
Yeah, it looks like similar to Google Docs. Can you go back one more time?
Yeah.
It looks like you can also change the at the top, from viewer to, oh, when you add somebody individually.
Yeah.
Looks like you can change the status of what they're allowed to do with the whiteboard.
Share at or below, and then am I still muted? You guys, can you hear
Oh, no,
me?
you're good. Yeah.
Okay. Right here, only the people added to the link. So you have a few different ways. You can say anyone, but I'm going to caution you on this because we only have Zoom accounts for faculty. So you're going to probably do anyone when you do the links, because our students do not have Zoom accounts through our account. So if you do anyone at Grossmont Quimaca, you might think you're doing a right thing, but you're actually going to block all your students. Okay.
When I set up my TechConnect meeting, it automatically created a passcode. Will they need the passcode to join the meeting from TechConnect? And do they go into TechConnect Zoom link to join the meeting?
It will pre-populate onto your calendar so they can click from there. And typically when they're in the course, they don't need the password. It's usually if you're inviting them outside of the course, but the links often include the passwords. So it's going to be the same as you have done before. So usually the link is fine. If they're accessing from your Canvas account, if you have the TechConnect Zoom available for them to see in your course navigation, they can click there. So that's going to be a nice advantage and a nice change in how we've done things in the past, is that might be a great place for you to start getting your students used to going, because they can click there, they can easily get to the link for the meetings. They'll see the current or the upcoming. They can also go there to the recordings if you're allowing them to review the recordings later. So it's like a one-stop shop, and you're not having to copy that and embed it into your course anymore, which also helps you when you roll the course to another term. So I think it's going to be a nice integration. You're probably going to have to play with it to see how it meets your needs.
Dawn, I have a question. Thank you for informing us about these new features. For the recordings, I usually have them, I want them to read the textbook first and then midweek release the recordings. Can I designate a specific date when they can be, where the students can access it, the recording?
No, it's just to offer on. So you would
Okay.
just have to make yourself a little note to go turn them on.
Okay,
To publish them, I guess is the right term.
thank you.
And Amber, and feel free to jump in. I talk a lot, so sometimes you have to push me out.
It's fine. I was going to put in the chat, this is TechConnect's their documentation. I'll just put the link to the first item, which is the instructor guide for the TechConnect Zoom. But if you look on the left-hand side, you can see there's a student guide. And then there's also the Student Connect guide, so that some of you, it will go into more detail and perhaps answer your questions, although keep in mind, we don't have Student Connect yet.
So with all of our sessions, we like to give you opportunity to play. So I'm going to encourage all of you, if you're not already logged into Canvas, I'm going to challenge you to log into Canvas, go into one of your courses and look for that TechConnect link and just click it and look at it. And you can always ask us questions or share your screen if you get stuck.